And I'm also in New York for NFT NYC. So if you happen to be here, give me a shout. Down to get some coffee. You know where to find me. So thanks, guys, for joining us here. Thanks for sharing in this mission. If you'd like to speak, toggle the mute button and just be patient. We'll get to you. Also note that we periodically pause for any questions you might have. And if you're one of the shy ones, you can always just text your questions in the general channel, and we'll get to it. So I would like to bring in Idan Yago to speak on strategy.
Hi, Sovryn's. Good to connect with you guys again. So, quite a lot of things going on, as I'm sure you have noticed. We've started allowing the first people in from the queue to start using Zero. The initial feedback that we've gotten has been quite positive. We've also continued to see robust growth in the number of people who are signing up for the queue. And we want to try and keep it that way. So if you know people who have funds that are on a centralized system, get them to sign up to the queue so that they can reduce the amount of interest they're paying and reduce the amount of risk that they're exposed to. We also put up the sign-up page for participating in the mainnet Perpetual Swap competition, and that's coming quite soon. We're ready to launch it, and what we're waiting for is just a little bit of time that we can give it the amount of attention it deserves, since right now there's a number of other competitions going on, collaborations and announcements coming out, and the marketing for Zero, and we don't want perps crowded out. So in a few weeks, we will be launching perps with the space to use our channels to properly market that as well. And then further down the line, we expect to be bringing Zero to full public access, improving its UI, introducing the sovereign dollar via Mint, and continued product improvements. There's a lot of ideas and work from the community and from the core team on a whole bunch of new types of strategies and DeFi primitives that can be built using Zero. And we're in the process of investigating and prioritizing them. And then one of the other big things that's been going on is optimizing the token distribution. That means optimizing the rewards for AMM, for lending, and SIP24. If David Soroy or Sakro are on this call from the Circle of Tokens, they may wish to speak to that. But a lot happening over the last 2 weeks. We will continue to see these core products, Perps and Zero, be a priority over the coming weeks and months. And then also one other piece is there's some work that is currently being done on planning to be able to potentially deliver a mobile application, and so keep you updated on that to provide better mobile access to Sovryn. Back to you, Ingemar.
Awesome. Any questions for Idan Yago thus far? All right, I'm going to bring in John Light. Are you there?
Yep. Hello. So as Yago mentioned, since the last call, we started inviting people to get early access to Zero. As part of that, there was a BIP, or Babelfish Improvement Proposal, that was passed in the Babelfish Bitocracy called BIP 0003 for adding ZUSD which is the Zero stablecoin, to the XUSD aggregator. That BIP was passed, and so now for folks who get early access to Zero, they can convert their ZUSD into XUSD and XUSD back into ZUSD through the XUSD converter that's built into the Zero front end. So thanks a lot to the Fish Staker community for supporting that proposal. The feature is already being put to good use, I see, with about 40,000 ZUSD currently in the XUSD aggregator. So it's cool to see that already being used. On the governance side, in the Sovryn community, we have a few SIP drafts that are in the forum that I would like to draw your attention to and invite everyone to review for themselves. One was a SIP that was posted by a community member about migrating vested or staked tokens to a new address. So currently the SOV that is staking cannot be transferred to a new address until the staking period has fully elapsed. And this proposal aims to enable users to transfer their staked SOV to a new address. There's another proposal about incentivizing community adoption. This one, the name it indicates it's about community adoption. I read the proposal, and it seems to also be proposing listing some new assets on the AMM. So if you have any interest in the AMM or the asset that's listed there, this proposal might be of interest to you. And then, as Yago mentioned, I don't believe this was a SIP, but it's just a proposal within the circle of tokens to reduce the XUSD lending pool liquidity mining rewards. If the lending pool liquidity mining rewards or Sovryn token distribution in general is of interest to you, then this would be a proposal to check out. All of these proposals and more are in the Sovryn forum. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, or you have a proposal of your own that you want to bring to the community, definitely go check out forum.sovryn.app to see these proposals and post your own. And those are all of the updates that I had for today. Happy to take any questions if anyone has questions. Right.
Boy, yeah, sure. Boy, please mute yourself unless you have a question. And just a reminder for everyone, if you're not speaking, please keep yourself muted. Thank you very much. So next we have Wayne with adoption.
Hi guys, good to be here. As Yago said, there's been a lot on the go currently and upcoming. Really great stuff. I think with the new team structure now in place and core set of skills, I think we're going to really move forward at a rate of knots in terms of our marketing, promotion, front-end design, brand, some of the partnerships and market, just generally how we're growing the brand and putting Sovryn to the forefront of the DeFi conversation. Upcoming releases, or campaigns. So currently we have Zero running. We're getting good numbers of people signing up to the waitlist on a continual basis. I think currently it's around 2,700 people who have signed up to the waitlist to trial the product to get early access. By the end of the month, I'd like to have that closer to 5,000. Whether we can achieve that or not, that's my goal. That's going to happen through PR, new content, some video content we have going out, paid promotion we're going to put behind that, some partnerships and external communities, which I think we can utilize. So we are going well with Zero. I'm sure we're going to continue to see some amazing growth there. Next week, kicking off on Monday. So for all the traders here, we've got a pretty cool month coming up. trading competitions. On Monday, we are kicking off a trading competition with LA Token externally on their exchange. It'll run for 2 weeks, and the prize pool will be around 26,000 SOV tokens distributed between a range of winners. For me, this is cheap reach and a great chance for us to start testing some of these competitions and liquidity drivers on external exchanges. They're going to promote us on across all of their channels, email base of around 1 million plus, social channels 300,000-400,000. We'll get multiple promotions across those channels. We have a full homepage takeover for 3 or 4 days, and then a shared homepage component for the remainder of the 2 weeks. In-app notifications to around 800,000 people. So I think this is going to be a great reach mechanism for Sovryn, and it'll also act as a lead generation tool to feed into the Perpetual Futures competition, which we have coming straight after that. So the LA Token competition, which we will announce to the community tomorrow and across our socials, will run for 2 weeks, and it'll be followed by a Perpetual Futures competition, which is launching on the 11th of July. We've already announced this to the community to give early access, and we've had quite a few, substantial amount of entries already. We'll start promoting this to the public from next week and using LA Token as lead generation. That'll launch on the 11th of July for a week. As everybody's probably aware from the announcement, the prize pool will be 0.5 BTC plus fees shared amongst the winners. So some cool releases and campaigns coming up, and a big month of trading competitions for people who are interested. As Iago said, get on Zero and refer friends as much as possible. Let's get those referrals up. Keep the momentum up from the community. That'd be amazing. You guys will notice with Perpetual Futures, it's a slightly different back-end referral mechanism. We're just testing out different features, different tools to see how they work with us, and then we'll pick one to continue with on an ongoing basis. Ongoing projects from adoption and guidance. We have the brand guidelines, brand refresh project, which is moving along quickly. External agency is presenting an updated brand pack next week, so I'm looking forward to sharing that with the broader community when the time comes. We have the website, the new website and UX project moving forward once again very quickly. Seeing some great designs coming out of this agency team for this new UX, and I think a front-end site that really tells the story of Sovryn, our vision and what we're trying to achieve in market. We're continuing with a plan of work to up our SEO and organic game, and how we become better with our use of data reporting and measurement. Other items team is working on that could be of interest. I'm still trying to get my head around this one, but the Babelfish incubation, you guys would have seen on the Babelfish blog, they're going to be incubated by Sovryn for a period of time to adopt our ways of working. So seeing how my team fits into that in terms of a co-working model, how we support them. We're working on longer term content and social planning, so you'll see some pretty cool stuff coming out in the market across the social channels. Ramping up PR, get some reach for the brand, and trying to get on as many 3 index sites and partnership sites as we can to get some reach for the brand. So there's a lot going on, but it's all positive stuff, and some cool features and competitions coming out for the community, especially in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome, man. I also noticed the recent visual content on Twitter. It looks really, really good in terms of production value. Just curious what went into that.
Yes, I mean, we're kind of testing. This is, I think the community's seen a version of the brand direction that we're heading down. So this is our first trial at, testing that the new brand coloration and the tone, and how we produce content along those new brand guidelines, testing it in market. People have been pretty receptive to it. I think it looks good. I think it looks a bit more mature, more professional, a nice promotional video. We're going to put some very low weight to start with, but put some paid spend behind that to get some reach of the brand. I think Zero is such a strong message, those taglines that stack on each other within 5-10 seconds, just absolutely kick ass. So I think videos like that, and that one in particular, can do a lot for us in terms of reach, getting more social engagement, more social followers, and getting people onto the wait list. What went into it, it was actually the team just hustling. It was done pretty quickly. We've got French Victory on board, who's doing video production for us. Bas is our content lead. And the video was done in a couple of days, and the team just, got together, storyboarded, put together the animations and the slides, and got it out to market as quickly as possible. And I think it highlights what we can do as a more lean and agile team now, in terms of moving quickly and getting content out to market.
All right, fantastic. As I said earlier, community, you're welcome to ask any questions if you'd like. This is an open forum. We encourage participation, feedback, questions, comments on anything discussed thus far. So if you have questions for Wayne, here's your opportunity to speak up. All right, then. I'm going to move on to Aurora with development.
Hi, thanks. So you heard it a few times already. Our big launch was the launch of the Sierra Beta, for which we are now adding people on a daily basis, more or less, and are collecting feedback. So if you are already trying the beta, or if you get your invite soon, then please send over as much feedback as you can, because we're going to use all of this for improving the experience for the public launch. So this is very, very valuable. I think one of the side effects of Sierra, which we're seeing, or which I'm seeing when I'm looking at the liquidity on the system and trying to restore it, is that, again, after, in the most recent future, we saw that we had more Bitcoin leaving the system than entering the system. And entering the system, it now turned again, and we see more Bitcoin entering the system than leaving the system, which is a very good and healthy sign, and is most likely due to the Sierra launch. Speaking of liquidity, we also are undertaking a big effort to recycle all of the RUSDT, which is the stablecoin which is issued by the RSK token bridge, which is operated by IOB Labs, which is just taking up a huge portion of the XUSD pool. We've constantly been recycling the RUSDT on the last week and made some good progress bringing in liquidity on the ETH bridge and the BSC bridge. So speaking of the Sovryn bridges, which are linked from the portfolio page. So it's now possible to, again, freely move the stablecoin liquidity between the chains. And at the same time, reduce the gas cost of the bridge. So instead of paying $130 for a stablecoin transfer to ETH, the fee is now reduced to $50. And with the upcoming update of the bridge with the off-chain signature exchange, we might even be able to reduce it further, but this also depends on how the gas prices in ETH are evolving. But that's already good news so far. We also had a small update regarding the loan repayment, because I mentioned it in the past. We had the issue that the smart contract, if you will leave behind a tiny position on the contract, which is very, very expensive to liquidate, and it's just costing the protocol money. So to prevent the tiny positions, the protocol tried to get more money to close a complete position if paying back a loan. And this is now changed so that on the smart contract level, it would now also fail instead. There, the fix on the front end was already in place in advance, so you would not have seen that issue anymore the past 2 or 3 weeks anyway. But just to let you know that this is now also implemented on the smart contracts. And then we had a number of quality of life updates. So improvements to the cross-chain flow, to the portfolio, to the DApp header menus. I think you either already saw it when you visited the DApp, or if you are interested, should go and check it out and see the differences, and that you us also know what you think about them. Next on our list are, next to the already mentioned bridge update, the transfer of the ownership to governance. Still, we have the script ready. We haven't executed it yet. We still need to just have the time for doing it and create the SIP around that. And the perps trading competition, where I'm going to wait for Vasily to explain you more about the perp progress later. Then we're working on the Zero SDK. We're actually close to completing the work in the Zero SDK. The only thing which is still missing are examples, and they also just need to be finalized. And then we're looking forward to getting feedback and just see how the Zero SDK can help other projects to integrate with Zero. We are refactoring the staking contract because we maxed out the size, and in the current state, we cannot introduce any more changes to the staking contract without refactoring it first. So we need to split the contract logic into several contracts so that we can keep working on them. We are working on the graph integration on the front end, where the first piece which will update it are the trading charts, and they will also get some volume indicators, which is something you have been asking for quite a long time. So looking forward to seeing that come. And we are working with the product team to improve the user onboarding journey and in general all of the journey throughout the dApp. So with the goal to improve the UX further. I think that's the most important updates on the development side, apart from the perps. So I'm going to hand it over to Vasily so he can just tell you what happened there since the last call.
Hi everyone. So as you heard from Jago and Wayne, we moved out the competition to July. With that, we gained some time, and we used the time to reduce the gas usage in the contract. So it's a bit cheaper now to make all the trades. Then a few words on the competition. So it will take place from the 12th of July, so Tuesday, not Monday, as Wayne said, because we never want to launch on a Monday. And it will take place for 1 week. It will be on mainnet. That means you have to bring your own Bitcoin. We won't give you any Bitcoin to trade with, but we will hand out prices. As Wayne said, it's 0.5 Bitcoin, so half a Bitcoin. We will distribute that to the top 3 traders. And the way we determine the top 3 is you will be able to read that on the website the exact way, but basically it is determined based on the percentage gain that you make. So it shouldn't matter whether you make 20% gain with half a Bitcoin or with just 0.1 Bitcoin. Then on team members. So generally, we think it wouldn't look good if team members participate and win the prizes and the rest of the community doesn't win a prize. So we would generally think that team members shouldn't be able to compete. But then on the other hand, anyone can sign up with any email and wallet. So we couldn't really prevent it. But then on the other hand, we also think it's not the problem as soon as no one knows, not even us knows, that some of the people are team members. So that's why we decided to go forward with allowing team members to participate in the competition as long as we can't figure out that they are team members. Okay, then that was it, unless you have any questions on the perps.
I actually do.
this Perps project, I mean, it is its own product. Is there a name for this?
So we call it Sovryn Perpetual Futures, or Sovryn Perps, if you want the short name. There is no weird other name, because I think what's also very important is that we have plain vanilla perpetuals. So we have perpetuals that work the same way as the original BitMEX perpetuals worked or work. There are no hidden tricks and traps, because if you do some research on other perpetual products, some of them aren't really perpetuals in the classical sense. So just to give you some examples, there are a few perpetuals that just lock you into the position if the price doesn't move, so you can't close your position. Then there are others that you have to pay funding rates regardless whether you're long or short. So you would lose out on that. Then you have perpetuals that claim they have no slippage, but then on the other hand, you pay a huge funding rate. So there's a variety of very interesting tricks that other protocols apply in order to have a good marketing on things like we have no slippage. So for us, it's just a plain vanilla perpetual future, and that's also why we keep it close to that name.
Okay, makes sense.
Thanks.
Party Ogre, did you have a question, or did you just accidentally unmute yourself? Okay, I can move forward with a couple of business development. Yes?
I had a quick question, if that's okay.
Yeah, Graham, go for it.
Can you, and maybe I'm just blind, is there documentation on the like underlying structure of the perpetuals on the site that I can point folks to?
Yeah, we haven't made the white paper publicly available, but we can do that. I think we should do that now. And I will coordinate with Wayne so we can make that happen.
Okay, awesome. If there's any way I can help, let me know.
Thanks. And also related to that, we also want to make the testnet available before the competition, so everyone can test it out without losing any funds.
Oh, also, Vasily, can you speak a bit about the unique pairings that we'd like to have when this goes live?
Oh, yes, sure. So for the competition, we will only have one perpetual, which is Bitcoin US dollar collateralized in Bitcoin. Now, going forward, we would also like to offer perpetuals that aren't really seen so often at other venues. And the reason why we are able to do it is because we have an AMM. So the AMM will ensure that you can always trade, whereas if you have an order book, you would have to have deals with market makers, at least in the beginning, before there are enough people that actually put limit orders there. And so it would be more difficult to find market makers for not so normal perpetuals. And what I mean by not so normal is we are pretty sure that we will launch a gold perpetual, which is quite interesting because you can bet on the gold price with Bitcoin. So you earn more Bitcoin if the gold price goes up, and you pay in Bitcoin if the gold price goes down. And we are also looking into some foreign currencies. So for instance, you would be able to trade Swiss franc on using Bitcoin only. And we are looking into other type of currencies. And currently the challenge is, do we have an oracle? So do we have a price information that is updated frequently enough so that the system works? So the system wouldn't work if, for instance, we have a currency price that's volatile, but it's updated only once a day. So we need to assess which one we can actually use. And we're currently working on that. But I can say with a quite high certainty that we will be able to launch a gold perpetual. Then going forward, we will also be able to use the sovereign dollar as collateral instead of Bitcoin. But from that, we are still a bit further away. Whereas, for instance, the gold perpetual will be ready as soon as we launch after the competition on mainnet.
Like, what is the source of gold oracle then?
That's from Chainlink.
That on? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, they have it on other EVM chains since we're going on BNB.
Yes, that's from Chainlink on BNB.
And to get these other pairs, Vasily, would we need other oracles as well, in addition, like because of whatever Chainlink doesn't provide?
Yes, that might be a possibility that we find some other oracle, or that we could work with Chainlink to set up additional oracles.
Okay, so if anybody on this call can recommend other oracle providers besides Chainlink, we're already talking to API 3, but any other ones that could potentially help and are deploying or have deployed on BNB chain, feel free to get at me, because this would be great to have close to the launch.
So maybe just one short comment on the challenge there. So often these oracles, they update after a certain amount of change. So let's say, for instance, 50 basis point of change in the price. This would actually mean that we will have to make the spread between buy and sell at least 50 basis points. Otherwise, someone could trade against the AMM. And so we have to, we have that trade-off between having an exotic perpetual and also offering small spreads which traders are willing to work with. And that's a challenge for some of the currencies. Whereas, for instance, for Bitcoin, that spread is very, very small. So it, in the end, comes down to what we can offer to the traders. And obviously, we don't want to offer too large spreads. Just wanted to add that.
Do you have any assessment of the threshold we need to cross in order to have the liquidity pool filled up, where the protocol start generating fees? I imagine it's a bit variable, but like, are you expecting that to happen after weeks or months or years or after a certain number of users? I'm just trying to get an assessment of when we start to see the impact of the fees going to stakers.
So it depends a lot on how many traders we get. So it's extremely difficult to make a statement on that. So, for instance, in the testnet competition, most traders didn't trade more than probably 3 times or so in that week of the competition. I think the top 3 who won a prize, they traded a bit more. They traded like quite a bit. So it really depends on how much people will be trading. And from that perspective, I wouldn't want to make any statement on that. On top of that, we know that we are in a bear market now. So the excitement might be less than it would have been 2 months ago. But on the other hand, perpetuals are a very interesting hedging product as well. And they also allow to speculate people regardless of the price. So from that perspective, it could also even be a better time to launch. So it is really attached to a lot of uncertainty, and from that perspective, I don't really want to make a statement on that.
Can I get a comment here?
Sure.
Or maybe ask a question to David. So David, is your question mainly about like say when those fees will be able to be brought back to RSK?
It's my understanding that, and just really, probably correct me here, that there's several different funds as part of the perpetuals, right? There's like the AMN fund, there's the participation fund, and then there's the default fund. And until all of those funds are essentially filled up, none of the fees that are collected can be taken out of the perpetual protocol and then given to the sovereign stakers in a bitocracy. But please correct me if I'm wrong there. Put it more bluntly, it was trying to assess at what point we'll start seeing like kind of reaping the benefit from a revenue perspective of perpetuals.
Okay. In that case, I think Vasily's answer applies. But Vasily, perhaps you could just confirm that his understanding of how the fee distribution mechanism works is correct.
Well, the fee distribution mechanism isn't automated. So that means the way it works is that the funds, they have a threshold which is dynamic and determined by the system, depends on a lot of things like the underlying risks. And if the amount of funds exceeds a threshold, then the amount above can be withdrawn with a multi-signature wallet, and then Treasury can decide what to do with those funds. And that isn't set in stone, but we also need to be aware that we'll have to pay for like sovereign operations. So we haven't made up our mind how this will exactly work.
Okay, any other questions on this before I move on? Alrighty, so I can give some brief updates from my side. The Lightning Bridge project is undergoing the first half of its last milestone, which is the integration with LNbits, allowing users to sign in with their Web3 wallet, such as MetaMask, view their own balances, and swap Lightning Bitcoin with XUST. So that'll be underway very soon. The first Sovryn bounty from our ongoing bounty program is nearing completion. The contract governance dashboard, it's been submitted for review. Shout outs to Ajand for taking that on. We recently got in touch with Binance for maybe support in promoting the deployment of perpetual swaps on BNB, and we're further exploring other opportunities with them. Currently talking to the BD team under CZ. On the side of RSK, they're working on something similar to Fast BTC called Flyover. It still integrates with PowPeg, but there might be a way we can leverage that with Fast BTC and perhaps even the Lightning Bridge. But it won't be ready for off-ramping just yet. It will only start with just the onboarding BTC to RBTC in a much faster time frame than their current bridging mechanism. So I'm going to open the floor to anyone who has questions on any of the topics that were brought up, as I think we're done with overall updates. So the floor is yours. Has anyone here tried the Zero protocol yet?
Yeah, I've tried it. I also have a question about kind of a Zero rollout. So I'd be interested to know some more updates on kind of like once the SDK is ready, and like how those partnership conversations are going. I'm very intrigued by that, and would be interested in kind of contributing on that front. I really think it's kind of the best way for us to kind of inception the Zero product into Bitcoiners who are really much more comfortable using centralized services. So Ingmar, maybe you could kind of discuss that. Like, do you guys have like a plan for how those conversations are going, or how easy it will be for partners to integrate? I'm really intrigued by that.
Yeah, it's a growing process. Light has put together some documentation. We've submitted it to a handful of potential channel partners, our wish list. Some of them they all have like very immediate roadmap priorities. And it's looking like we'd be able to reinitiate these conversations like middle of Q3. But we're shopping this around to as many prospects as possible. So the plan is basically cast a wide net. Don't leave any conversations hanging, and keep building up the activity for Zero, so that they can see how people are using it, how much attention it's drawing. So that's where we're at. Yeah, thanks for asking. Any other questions from the audience? All right, so we have a little bit of time left, but if we don't have any further questions, I can hang around for a little bit longer. But if we're done with questions, I can close this out. And I just want to say thanks to everyone for being a part of this mission in carving out a trail for Bitcoin secured financial sovereignty, dismantling what people know and understand about money. So please help us spread the word and create more sovereign individuals. Be sure to sign up for the Zero protocol. Follow us on Twitter and Telegram. Subscribe to the Sovryn YouTube channel and visit our DApp at sovryn.app. So I'm going to adjourn this community call, but feel free to hang around. I'll hang around for a few minutes if anyone wants to chat. Thanks everyone again, and stay sovereign.